Hi everyone. So I know that buying your first HDB flat is an exciting milestone, but navigating the financial and application process can often feel complex and overwhelming. So my goal today is to simplify this process for you. We'll walk through the key stages of your home buying journey and provide some practical tips to help you along the way. So specifically, we will look at these four main topics: applying for HFE, balloting for your project, selection, and down payment. So next is applying for HFE. To apply for BTO, you will need to have a valid HFE. So the HFE letter is valid for 9 months. So you do not need to renew your HFE letter if it expires after you have successfully balloted for your BTO. Also, during the application process of your HFE, you will need to determine whether you want to take the HDB housing loan or bank loan. So your income at the HFE application stage is crucial as it determines the housing grant you are eligible for and the maximum HDB loan you can get. So a smaller loan means that you will need to fork out more cash during your down payment. Okay, so let's look at two scenarios. So for the first scenario, scenario A, with a combined income of 8,500 a month, you can get a maximum loan of 375k and pay the standard 25% down payment of 125k. So in scenario B, with a lower income of $5,000 a month, your loan is capped at around 320,000, meaning you will need to pay an extra 55,000 on top of the 25% down payment. So preferably during HFE application, please have at least enough income to get a max loan of at least 75% of your housing price. So next, what happened during the selection process? I'm going to share with you some frequently asked questions in this slide. So first, what happens if you don't select a flat? So if there are limited units remaining, which is fewer than 10 units, no penalties apply. You can keep your first timer status for the next BTO application. However, if there are more than 10 units, you'll be treated as a second timer for 1 year. So next, can you apply for the next BTO launch if you get a queue number? So for scenario A, if your queue number is beyond the number of available flats, for example, your queue number is 300 but there's only 250 available flats, you can still apply for the next BTO launch. However, if HDB subsequently call you up due to cancellation, you must select a unit and forfeit your queue number of your HDB of your next BTO launch. So the scenario B is your queue number is within the available flats. So your queue number is 249, but the number of available flats is 250. So you cannot apply for the next BTO launch until you complete your current selection process. Okay, so what does second timer status mean? So being a second timer significantly reduce your ballot chance in subsequent BTO launch during that year. So as first timer are given priority, it can also affect eligibility for certain grant or scheme. You can get more information on the HDB portal. So next I will be sharing on some frequently asked questions regarding the EHG grant, which is the Enhanced Housing Grant. So a lot of people confuse what is average monthly household. So what is average monthly household? It is the combined total income of all working members in your household, average over 12 months. So for example, if you earn 4,000 and your spouse earns 3,000, your average monthly household income is 7k. It's not 4,000 plus 3,000 divided by 2. It is 4,000 plus 3,000, so it is 7,000. So if your average monthly household income is 7,000, your grant amount would be 25,000. So for the subsequent 3 slides, I will be sharing with you the payment process for different schemes. So for this slide, I will be sharing with you if you don't have any special scheme. So you will need to pay a 2,000 option to purchase fee first. Then when you sign the agreement for lease, which is 5 to 9 months after option to purchase, you will need to pay a 10% down payment of 60,000 plus stamp duty and legal fee of around 12 to 13,000. So the stamp duty and legal fee must be paid in cash. The down payment can be paid with CPF or cash. So the total at lease signing is 73,000. So finally, at key collection, you must pay the remaining 50%, which is 90k with cash or CPF, and the rest will be covered by your HDB loan. So this is why I emphasize that your maximum loan during your HFE is important. So if your maximum loan cannot cover the 450,000, you will have to pay more with your cash or CPF. So next is the staggered down payment. So for the eligibility, both are first-timer applicant or couple comprising of a first-timer applicant and a second-timer applicant. So they must apply for the HFE letter on or before the younger applicant is 30-year-old. And lastly, they must be booking an uncompleted 5-room or smaller flat. So the assumption is same, so it's a 600k HDB. So similarly, you have to pay an OTP of $2,000. However, at a signing agreement for lease, you will only need to pay for 5% down payment, which is 30,000 instead of 60k. So the stamp duty and legal fee is the same, 12 to 13k. So at key collection, you have to pay 20%, which is around 120,000. So the benefit of this payment scheme is that at signing agreement of lease, you only need to pay 5% instead of 10%. So however, at key collection, you have to pay a larger amount of 20%. So for the phased down payment, for the eligibility, one party must be a full-time student or NSF, or have completed their study or NS within the last 12 months. Similarly, one party must be 30-year-old or younger. So for the income assessment timing, it will be 3 months before the flat completion. Okay, so similarly, assumption is a 600k HDB. The option to purchase is 2k, similar. However, for the signing agreement of lease, the down payment will be 2.5%, which is lower than the 10 or 5% for the other two schemes. So it's just $13,500. However, for the key collection, you have to pay slightly more than the previous, which is 22.5%, which is 135k. So the only difference is how much you must pay during the signing agreement of lease. Okay, so thank you for your time. Happy key collection.